Hey folks, welcome back. Just because I'm working on this drum bass tune here in the background, I want to show you something that I don't see a lot of people talk about. So let's listen to this tune here for a moment. And focus on this drum loop here, right? On this sample. So the problem with the sample is that it's a sample from a sample library. And usually when you buy sample libraries or preset libraries, these creators overdo these samples or presets already. They add a lot of compression, clipping, EQing on top, right? To make it sound good on their own. But that's not what you need. You actually need a sample that fits in with your tune or with the rest of your instruments, right? So you don't want to listen to this drum loop on its own. You want to combine it with your rest, the rest of your drum samples here, right? So that's the problem. And then you put it together into a group, into a drum bus here, and then you put your own compression on top, your own limiting and EQing on top, and then it gets too much. It's already overcooked. So what you want to do in this case here is called expansion, and it's nothing new, but I don't see a lot of people talk about it in context of drum bass or, you know, mixing and mastering. Most of the times you just see, you know, masking, unmasking, or limiting, clipping, how to make things louder and stuff like this. But this is also important because you actually want, in mixing, you want to bring all these sounds together and convince listeners that this is actually one tune, this is one song, this is one thing coming from one place. But when you have different sounds in it here that have different dynamic ranges, it's usually not a big problem. But when you have like extreme examples of this, right, highly compressed compared with something that's not compressed at all, it doesn't sound right. But it looks right on the analyzer. You have all the frequencies in the right place. It should sound good on paper, but it doesn't. And when this is the case, then usually you can look into dynamic ranges here and make the gap closer, or make the gap closer between the instruments. You want to make them even, kind of. So you can do this here in Bitwig Studio pretty easily with multiple methods. You can use just compressors for this that have expansion feature and expansion feature. So you have the dynamics module of Bitwig does this. It's the oldest compressor. We have here negative ratio, bring down the threshold. So instead of compression or limiting, you can do negative, right? Something like this. Bring this down. So you get this fizzling high top noise out that's typically for these overcompressed samples. So it's almost like gating, but with gating, it's you remove the sound or the volume entirely. And here it's like you make quiet signals quieter and louder signals louder. That's the idea. So you stretch out the dynamic range a bit more and it sounds better. So this is the dynamics module. We can also use the compressor plus for this. There is a beyond method here, which switches here this ratio button, right? You now have this negative range. So you have also compression, limiting, and then expansion here. Brings down. So also possible. But in my opinion, the easiest way is to use a transfer curve. So I use here the filter plus for this. You can see the filter is disabled, and you can use here the transfer distortion device for this. And usually it looks like this. You have like a dot in the middle here, right? And then you can just use the Alt key and do something like this. So this is like overdrive or soft clipping, however you want to call it. But you can also do something like this, which means in this mode, right, you make quieter signals louder and you limit or compress louder signals. And in this way, you stay quiet for longer and then you get slowly louder. So you expand or stretch the dynamic range with this. So let's listen to this here. So the benefit of this, or benefit, I have no idea if it's a benefit, but it works at audio rate. So it takes every sample and maps it to a different volume state or different amplitude state. And yeah, it gives you nice response. So let's listen to this here in context. Actually, only the drums. You can really hear all the shakers coming out and having some kind of dynamic information going up and down in volume, and it sounds really shaky. It brings groove. It brings the groove out, right? So this sounds completely flat and compressed and just noisy, a noisy mess. And this sounds more snappy and not that compressed, and you hear every shaker. And yeah, you bring these sounds together with this, right? You bring the drum loop together with my just very peaky kick and snare loop here. It's way too much, right? Yeah, in my opinion, that's a perfect example for this expansion process. And I don't see a lot of people talk about this. I don't know why. Because it's sometimes very important to deal with samples or with sample packs all the time, and they are always overcooked. And you want to combine them with the rest of your sounds. And then this is a method of bringing these sounds closer together in a sonical manner. So it's not about frequencies and loudness. It's also about dynamic range, in my opinion, to match sounds. And then you can compress them together, right? Put some compression on top and they sound like they are belonging together. And that's what you want in a mix. You want to have a consistent block of sounds that sound like they belong together. Okay, enough talk. Thanks for watching. And I think there's another video on Wednesday. Leave a like if you like the video. Let me know what you think. If you use this method already, let me know. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.